The NFL draft is over, and the Packers made some interesting and surprising picks that have a lot of people with question marks this year. That's the topics for tonight, so stick around. This video is brought to you by Packer Fan Cave. Everything you need to turn your man cave into a Packer Fan Cave. You can check them out at packerfancave.net. There is a link in the description below this video. So, as I mentioned earlier, the Packers made quite a few interesting decisions and surprised a lot of Packer fans. A lot of people weren't expecting to get a quarterback in the first round. And after that, a lot of people weren't expecting to get a running back. Here to discuss this with me is my good friend and lifelong Packer fan, Mark Padriana. Mark, thanks for being here again.
Thanks for having me, as always.
So, I'm sure you were surprised like everybody else when the Packers picked up a quarterback in the first round.
Surprise is a good word. We were just discussing what's the right word to use there. And I'm glad we've had time to think about it, because at first it was a little bit of anger, and then maybe disappointment, and then surprise. And I'm going through the steps of grieving, but
Yep.
I think ultimately I'll get to a point where I'll think that at least the first round pick was a good decision. It was a risky decision, and you said something to me earlier how this is going to tie Brian Gutekunst to Jordan Love for the rest of their careers, and hopefully it works out as Packer fans for us and for those two as well. But yeah, definitely some surprises.
Yeah. And after that, I really, really thought that we were going to see a receiver in the second round. I kept hearing how deep of a receiver class this was, and I just had the expectation that they were going to pick up a receiver. It just kind of, again, surprising. Just,
Yeah.
I'm trying to look inside Gutekunst's brain right now, and I think part of it is that we're just really used to Ted Thompson, who was around for a long time, and we're just used to seeing what he did, and I mean, when I look at A.J. Dillon in the film, I'm really impressed, My only feeling of negativity there is this is a kid we just didn't need to pick up right then.
It certainly doesn't seem that way. It seems like that's one of the most complete rooms that we have at Lombardi Avenue is the running back room.
Yeah.
It seemed like we have two really solid guys in there, and then Dexter Williams that we picked up last year. They seem to really like him. They seem to think that he needed a little more time to get the more complete game going, especially the blocking, picking up blitzes and whatnot, and building that trust. But they seem to really like him, and here they go and make a move. And again, I saw the film on A.J. Dillon. He looks fantastic. It's really,
absolutely.
It's highlight film. But after dropping the bomb in the first round and stealing the show and being the talk of the draft after the first round, all we heard was how deep this wide receiver draft is, and I think everybody kind of expected, okay, now, maybe their top targets went, before that they thought they would, or there was nobody left in the first round, and so this is why they made the Jordan Love pick. But we thought after that, well, they're going to get Aaron somebody, and they ultimately took a tight end in the third round, but they did last year as well with Sternberger, and he saw the field a little bit, but yeah, just really surprised they went quarterback, running back to start the draft. Really surprised.
Yeah. And then I was really happy with the Deguara pick in the third round, And you mentioned Sternberger from last year we picked in the third round, and he saw the field a little bit. I think, injuries played into that, and I keep hearing that he is really impressing people on the team, and I do expect to see him a lot more this year. Which makes me wonder if people are that happy with Sternberger, why are you picking another third round tight end? But when I watch the film of Deguara, and man, he's just a good route runner. He's good at finding those open spots in the defense and getting there, and that's the kind of guy that Aaron Rodgers is looking for, is somebody who can really do good route running and has good hands. So you can get open, and if I get you the ball, you'll catch it.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think that Deguara is that. But again, with Sternberger, how much would Deguara really see the field unless you put him in that fullback situation?
Mm-hmm. And, LaFleur does like to use multiple tight ends in his offense, but more in a blocking sense or more having a combination between the
Right.
two. And Sternberger and Deguara at this point seem both like they're more pass catchers and they need to sort of develop into blockers. So it'll be interesting to see how they use them both. But again, film looked great. He looked, like an exciting pick, but just a kind of a head scratcher as to the positions they went after in this draft. And later in the rounds they addressed some needs in terms of depth on the offensive line. They got 3 guys in the 6th round, and you think, well, 6th round picks, big deal, but they've done a really good job identifying line talent, especially offensive line talent in the later rounds. And I know this is a new regime, but I really like Jon Runyon out of Michigan. Don't know much about Hanson or Stepaniak, but they both seem like at least versatile talents and something that's going to provide depth. So I do like some of the things they did in the draft. But yeah, again, they had the I don't know, what was it, 4, 7, 9 picks altogether.
Yeah.
And they didn't take one single receiver in what was supposed to be the deepest receiver draft we've seen in years. So, a little bit surprising there, but there might be some inner confidence inside the Packers organization and some guys that, we've maybe written off. Or maybe they have some tricks up their sleeves still, after cuts come, after, the next wave of free agency.
Right. I was going to say, Gutekunst could still be confident that there's going to be a good free agent out there when the next wave of cuts come. And maybe that's something he's banking on. Or maybe he just thinks that the Packers are set for receivers right now. The only time can tell us on that one. It's tough sometimes when you really want to be inside of somebody's mind and know what they're thinking.
And we are trying to stay as positive as possible because we do understand everybody's frustration. We have the same frustration, but we have to trust in what they've done, and it doesn't mean we can't complain about it. But I do see what they had in mind for the future, but when you're so close, when you're on the doorstep at an NFC Championship game last year and just seem to be a few pieces away. There's, leave some questions, but let's hope that they know more than we do, because I'm sure that they do.
Yeah. Well, and we can identify holes on a team, but we're still talking about a team that was 13-3, and I don't feel like they've gotten worse. If they haven't gotten worse, they can still do well this year. And they, Sternberger will be a new target because we didn't see much of him last year. I don't know. I do feel like there are targets out there. We can't forget that Davante Adams is still Davante Adams.
He is, and we know that Aaron loves Lazard, and he has a lot of confidence, maybe more than the rest of us in Kumaro. We all believed in him, and maybe he just needs that breakout opportunity. So you're right. There's still guys on the roster that we have right now, and somebody could fall into our lap, before the season starts. Could be a salary cap casualty that falls our way. Never know. So looking forward to, the next wave of opportunities to get somebody to help Aaron out.
Yeah. And, you talk about guys that are already there. There's the potential still for guys that, end up getting cut. We're looking at a football team that was really close last year, and if one piece will make the difference, I do feel like Gutekunst is going to identify that piece and try and find him. I do feel like he does want to win a Super Bowl. Even if he's drafting for the future, you can draft for the future and put a team together for right now as well.
Mm-hmm. And we haven't even mentioned Devin Funchess, who's kind of maybe the wild card for this season. We'll see how healthy he is. We'll see what he can contribute. But he's a big receiver. He's a big target. He's got some speed. I know he's coming off some injuries, but somebody that we're not necessarily counting on to be, the number 2 receiver in this offense, maybe somewhere between the 3 and 4 receiver. But if he can contribute, I think that's something that we're not really counting on. So it's something we won't really be expecting, and it's just going to be a positive addition. So
yeah,
hopefully that works out for us as well.
yeah, yeah. And I expect to see the running game huge again this year as well.
Absolutely.
I don't think Aaron Jones is going to be any less impressive. I don't think.
Not in the contract year, he won't.
Yeah, right? Absolutely. Because even if he doesn't expect the Packers to re-sign him, he's looking to be
motivated.
as impressive as he can for whatever team is going to sign him.
Absolutely.
So I look for him to play really well. When you consider, Aaron Rodgers now has actual competition at the quarterback position, I don't expect that, they're going to make a quarterback controversy out of this. I don't expect that anybody is going to want to see Love out there, anytime soon. But actually putting somebody behind him might kind of make him, rethink how do I look out here, and when you're talking about a guy who last year I thought played pretty well, as much as people were saying it was a down year for him. What did he throw? 2 interceptions all season?
Yeah, and Aaron Rodgers tends to play pretty well with a chip on his shoulder. So
Right.
if everybody's thinking that he's going to be all upset about this, but you know what? In the end, if he's a little bit ticked off, he's a little bit motivated, and a motivated Aaron Rodgers is fun to watch play. So
Absolutely.
I'm excited about that.
Yeah, I am too. And what do you guys think out there? What do you have a different take on any of the draft picks? Are you excited about Love? Do you think it was a bad decision? Are you excited about A.J. Dillon, or do you think that was a bad decision? Go ahead and leave your thoughts in the comment section down below. Hit the little thumbs up button on this video. If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel. Mark, thanks again for being here.
Thanks for having me.
And for the Packer Fan Network, I am Mark Schneider.